You're listening to Real Restaurant Radio, the show that inspires up-and-coming restaurant and bar owners, along with current operators, to pursue their passion in the restaurant business. I am your host, Kostas, and I'm joined, as always, with my good friend, Cary Hodson. Let us guide you through the process of being a successful owner and teach you how to make an impact in today's culinary world. And welcome back to another episode of Real Restaurant Radio. Cary Hodson, we made it to episode 13. What do you think?
I'm impressed.
What is that you're doing over there?
This is a beer my wife made, actually, with a brewer or a sales rep from 903 Brewery, Brittany. It's called Girls Night Stout.
Okay. Like Girls Night Out.
Yeah.
You and the puns.
I know. It's part of the industry. Yeah, this version was brewed with raspberries. It's a milk stout.
Sounds good, my man. I love raspberries and stouts. Cheers.
Yeah, give it a shot. Cheers.
So we just got back from Salt Lake City, Utah. Cary took me skiing. That was a blast.
Oh, yeah, it was a ton of fun.
How many restaurant owners get to hang out with each other and go skiing and stuff? So I thought that was really cool to even further solidify our relationship and the camaraderie and the friendship. It was just a great time.
Yeah, you only fell 37 times down one mountain.
He almost killed me, guys. He almost killed me. Like, I'm not even playing.
You got some pretty good footage of it, too. It was a lot of fun.
I did, yeah. And obviously check that out at Taverna's YouTube channel. I diverged from my normal restaurant operating videos and snuck in some skiing videos.
Yeah, I didn't realize the GoPro could pick up sound, and we had walkie-talkies on the mountain so we could find each other without taking out our cell phones, and it picked up some of the walkie-talkie chatter. I thought that was a cool element.
It did add a little complexity to it. We were actually going to do an episode of Real Restaurant Radio there, but like just the time that it took to get to the mountain and ski all day, we were just exhausted.
Yeah, Kostas had planned to edit a podcast or a video every night he was there, but like he said, I think I'll quote you. You said, "You're already redlining me, man. I got to get some sleep." So yeah, it was ski and then more skiing and then food, beer, sleep. Yeah.
Yep. Every day. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, today for our audience, we are talking about the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, let's do it.
Whose theory is that again?
Pareto.
Pareto?
Yeah, Italian economist. Came up with the idea in his garden. 20% of his pea plants produced 80% of healthy food. And I guess he kind of started applying that to economics. And the next big thing he realized was 80% of Italy was owned by 20% of the people. So that was well over 100 years ago. And I guess the rule still applies to, how you spend your time, your friendships, other economic factors in our lives now. And we kind of just caught ourselves talking about it last week when I came to eat at your restaurant and how it applies to our restaurant. So I guess we thought it'd be could make a good podcast.
Yeah, I think so. And by the way, I think his great-great-grandparents were actually Greek immigrants. They actually immigrated to Italy from Greece. So
oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. I just made that up on the spot.
Oh, come on.
But 8% of statistics are false, right? I don't know. So yeah, 80-20 rule. We talk about that all the time, and that literally applies to us as restaurant owners so much. I think it applies like you just said to everybody. But wow, how we can apply that in our business is crazy.
Yeah. So how can you apply it?
Well, let me start with one, and you take it away to another. Maybe we'll just bounce back and forth. But I like to say that 80% of my business comes from 20% of my customers.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's it helps you realize the importance of converting your regular customers to like hardcore fans of yours, because like you said, 20% of your customers are going to be 80% of your business, and so you should spend 80% of your time focusing on that 20% to really try to cultivate that.
And specifically, how do you do that exactly?
I I mean, I think some of it comes naturally. You recognize them when they come in. You try to treat everyone the same, but you spend a little more time with them. You're actually better at it than I am. When we launched this podcast, a couple of people said, "Hey, we can actually listen to Cary talk for more than 2 seconds." So you actually sit down with them and ask them how their meal is. And for me, it's, "Hey, try this new beer we're doing," and giving away some samples.
And then also, I think a key importance to that is our ability to market to those people and offer incentives to those people. We actually, at Open Creek Taverna, we have like a birthday club. So if you join our VIP club, you actually get a free birthday meal on your birthday. And it's just our way of saying thank you so much for your support. And also, I mean, from a strategy standpoint, who eats alone on their birthday?
Sure.
So, we give one person their birthday meal for free, our loyal customer, and our loyal customer is our biggest cheerleader. So he's going to say, "Hey, let's bring in 10 people for my birthday. I'm going to celebrate at my favorite restaurant that I love and support so much." So inadvertently, he's actually giving us more business. And then we're actually able to, commend him and recognize him as being a loyal patron.
Yeah, and we have I just kind of checked our mobile text program. We've talked about that in the past, and we're around 2,400 now. And the incentive for people signing up is they get a free beer when they sign up. But in the past, we've mostly used it to announce events. And this year, I'm kind of taking that segment, that kind of hardcore fan group segment, and going to reward them more. So every other month, I'm sending out a freebie coupon, whether it's a $5 pitcher of beer or a beer for you and a friend. Like the first round's on us. If 2 people come in, or National Beer Day, they'll get a free beer. Buy one, get one entrees on that, from like Thursday to Sunday that week. So that's, trying to take our own advice and apply it to my life too.
I think that's been in the benefits, not only for our listeners, but even just for ourselves. Every week when we talk about all the things, I think you take something from me and I take something from you. I know I take something from you every time we get on this podcast and talk. I always have an aha moment just listening to you. And so that's the reason why we're doing this. That's why we're having this, is for everyone just to have this melting pot of learning and knowledge.
We were doing it already. Just
Exactly.
one-on-one over the phone.
We just wanted to share with you guys.
Yeah. So another thing that I've found the 80-20 rule applies to is our staff. It seems like 20% of it
Oh no, you're gonna talk about the staff now.
Sure.
Here it goes.
It's a huge part of our business. I mean, how much time do you spend on cooking compared to training?
I think we talk more about people on this podcast than we do about food or anything else. We talk about our staff so much.
Yeah, probably 80%.
Yeah, 80%. The 80-20 rule, 80% of your problems comes from 20% of your staff. And I think that's, according to this economist, that's in any organization.
Sure. And should you fire them? Should you cut them loose? I would argue, yes, you should.
I think so, too.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do.
I always run a lean crew, and I never hesitate. Just because my restaurant is so small and so fragile that I can't afford to have the excess fat on my system.
Right, and they're taking 80% of your time when really the top 20% of your staff doing more work, they should get your focus.
Sure.
And what I get stuck in is I'm dealing with people's issues instead of rewarding and cultivating the people that are working really hard. They kind of slip through the cracks, right?
Yeah, that's really sad. And I think sometimes as owners, and I know this is wrong for us to do, but in a way it's right for us to do too, but I think sometimes we'll put more pressure on the top performing staff members because we know they can handle it, which is that right? Sometimes that will lower their morale because they're like, why are you putting all this on me just because I can do it? You basically taking advantage of me whenever you're letting Joe Blow over here skate by with doing nothing.
Well,
which that's something that I have to work on myself because I'm like, I put a lot of pressure on you because I know you can do it and I know you're capable of doing it. And that's why I guess I'm harder on you because I love you more type relationship.
Well, let them know, yes, I do have different expectations for different people. I do have higher expectations of you. I rely on you more, and that's why you get, the freedoms that you get, the creative control that you get, or, you're paid more. That's the bottom line, right? And the other guys, you're not going to cut as much slack. So
yeah, exactly. So that's the 80-20 rule. We talk about our employees. We talk about our customers.
What about your time?
I mean, last few episodes ago, we talked about Cheetah and versus US Foods and time management. I think we've talked about time management. That's been like a reoccurring theme through this entire podcast series.
Right. I've been trying to focus on, sounds kind of cheesy, but not getting stuck in a function. Right. So there's a difference between being busy and being productive. And it's really hard for me because sometimes sitting there doing what the important work isn't quite as fun as getting in the kitchen and, last night I converted 25 pounds of dates into syrup for a beer on Friday. Like, did I have to do that last night? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, I know you do a lot of stuff with your local city, and let's be honest, how much productivity are really involved in some of those city meetings, but like you have to be there, but like, can we maximize productivity here within these meetings type thing?
That's true. I mean, I am chair on the business association board now, so I get to kind of regulate the meetings, and I try to make them stick to an hour and a half, and if something doesn't get talked about on the agenda, it gets pushed, and I'm try to be upfront about that with everyone else and value their time as well, so that there's cut out some of the chit chat. I am on some other city stuff as well, and it does take a lot of my time, but I do kind of focus and see the bigger picture of it paying off in the future for growing our city and our downtown. And I've said no to a lot of other things. I think a lot of the people who are doing the most always get asked to do more, and it's hard to say no because you believe in their cause, or you want to donate to every charity and support every booster club, but you just can't.
I think as we get older and as you guys open up your own restaurants and you get more involved and time passes, you start saying no a lot more. I know I personally used to say yes a lot in my first few years, but as time goes by, I am saying no and no because I think you start to realize yourself and like your self-worth and where your priorities are. But I just have to say, I'm glad you talked about our own personal time because I wanted to just make a quick announcement about Real Restaurant Radio. We did do a lot of this video recorded and audio recorded, but because we are so time sensitive and so much is demanded of us from our restaurants, we still want to give you guys all the knowledge, but we are going to cut down the video portion to just once a month. And we do want to start getting on a schedule. That way you guys can listen to us every Monday at 7 a.m. I think is what we're going to decide on. We've been doing this for a few months now, kind of feeling around, getting our roots set in place. And I think doing an audio portion 3 times a week and then doing an audio video portion once a month will be more sustainable.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it fits with what we're talking about today too, being more productive and less busy.
Exactly. So hope you guys don't mind. We apologize about that. But you know what, Cary? Like, we've been doing this for a few months now, and we haven't heard from any of our listeners, and I'm a little sad about that. I wish someone would write in or send us an email or something to that effect. That'd be really cool to hear from you guys. So as we're doing these podcasts, and if you're listening to anything that we're saying and you like anything that we're saying, give us some feedback. Sometimes it's a lonely world over here sitting behind the mic, and we don't know who's listening. So
I've heard from people one-on-one.
Okay, at the restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people coming in, people I didn't expect.
What do they say about the podcast? What are you guys saying out there about the podcast?
I think a lot of them are binge watching.
Uh-oh.
So we got to keep releasing episodes, and that's part of what you just announced is we're trying to make sure that we have constant content to put out there. But some people are interested in opening their own restaurant. Some people are just interested in us and our businesses personally. And some people are just interested in learning about other industries that they may never get into. And then one person, I think the foodie culture in Dallas is very strong. said that they spend so much time in restaurants, but they never really get to see the other half of it. So they're really good at seeing front of house stuff and, looking at the menu design and
that's only 20% of the restaurant, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other 80% is behind the walls, man. The other 80% is behind the walls.
Exactly. How do you feel about your menu? Do you think 20% of your menu is 80% of your sales?
I try to analyze my menu, and we have all these. Thankfully, we're like in 2019 where we can have like pull up 3 years of sales reports and see like the menu items of what's selling, and there are some like items that it's time to get rid of.
Yeah, I mean you got to cut the dead weight, right?
It is, but on the flip side, it's like, wow, we still sold. I mean, that still did thousands of orders of this particular item.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword. And like you said, I think in a previous podcast, it's like sometimes you can't get rid of something that's like you got to have on the menu type thing, like a brisket sandwich. Okay, well, no one buys the brisket sandwich, but like that's like what we're known for.
That's not
That's
true.
a bad example. That's a bad example. But anyway, like maybe your root beer. Like you don't sell a lot of root beer, but like it's so cool to have like a root beer that makes you
Yeah, that's a
unique
great
and different.
example. We used to have 2 sodas, and people want us to bring back our rotating soda, but that tap space is more valuable as a beer.
Yeah.
More people want the beer than a second soda.
But we live in this world.
Slimmed it down.
I think this is a new era that we're living in, that no one is uncharted territory, where like it's always got to be changing, and like I think the stimulation, like everyone is like overstimulated, and like we've got to continue to like one up it. I think it's harder for us as restaurant owners today than it's ever been for restaurant owners in the past. Like I think in the past they could change their stuff like once a year and they're cool. Like we got to change our stuff once a day type thing. Like it's crazy. I don't know how it's going to be in another 20 years with, this overstimulated world that we live in.
I'm thinking it seems to be getting more specialized. Like you go in and take some of these burger places now. Don't you see that their menus are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking? And it's a couple specific burgers. It's burgers and fries, and 2 types of sauce, and that's it. So they're specialized, and people want to go to that place for that thing. I guess for us, though, with the beer, our specialty is rotating tap list. We have something new to try every time you come in. But at least the barbecue is consistent, and it's the same menu all the time forever. And then we add on this other bar menu with some of our more creative experimental stuff, and our brunch menu, which rotates, and that's kind of what keeps it fresh for us.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. That's really a great insight there.
So if you're gonna look at your menu, keep your core 20, but don't be afraid to experiment with the rest.
I don't watch a lot of those kitchen shows on TV, but I think whenever like the Gordon Ramsays of the world go into a restaurant to revamp it, the first thing they do is like cut the menu down like by half and say, hey, just perfect these 5 dishes.
Yeah, you can focus on that. It'll cut your food costs down too.
And your labor.
Absolutely.
And everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So what else but you have about the 80-20? You have a whole like notepad over there of notes over there.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, man. Maybe I guess we talked about customers, but your target marketing.
Yeah, wow.
How much of your, probably 20% of your YouTube videos get 80% of your views, right?
Sure.
Or if you post something
or 20% of my viewers watch 80% of my YouTube view.
There you go.
I tongue twisted that. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm so torn because when I jumped into this thing, like it was like being an old school Greek restaurant. But when I started like finding like my confidence and being a little bit more confident in what I could do, I was like, I want to reach out to a different market. Like I want to make Greek food fun again. Kind of like how you're revitalizing the downtown Garland area. I want to revitalize Greek food.
Yeah,
because no one does Greek food the way I do Greek food. I'm making it fun and exciting. I'm hanging out with the craft brewing industry, and I'm playing like indie rock at the restaurant. And I don't mind experimenting with new dishes. Like I'm trying to make Greek fusion dishes.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. But you don't water it down either. It's you keep the authenticity of those traditional dishes, and you don't change the names. I mean, it's still Slouvaki and Dolmades. And,
exactly.
And I think your staff, at least the seasoned waiters and waitresses, they do a pretty good job at educating what that is, and your menu has plenty of photos, so people kind of find it approachable, and the whole go Greek once a week thing's genius.
Hey, I'm trying. That's probably one of your puns that you could use. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So you talk about your target demographics, and I think for you, obviously, you have that millennial crowd with the craft beer scene. You're kind of your 20s and 30s, I assume.
Yeah. Actually, our average age is 38, I think, or somewhere between 35 and 45 is what's following us on Facebook. I haven't looked into the analytics of Instagram as much. I don't think that Instagram asks for your age when you sign up for a profile, so they have kind of less data to give you.
Okay.
But you can look at your posts and look at your top rated posts. Mm-hmm. Take a hard look at that and find ways to reinvent that and sort of repeat that success.
Talk about success. We do so much to create something new that pops and something new that blows up. And, I've done specials and desserts throughout the year, and some items sell better than others. But I just have to give a round of applause to Cary Hodson. He finally nailed this special and hit a home run. And sometimes when a restaurant just hits a home run, it really can just blow a restaurant up and make it super famous. And you just did that, so a round of applause to you with the chicken fried brisket. Tell us more about
fantastic.
The chicken fried brisket. Like, did you expect that to blow up the way it did?
I knew it was popular. We had done it a couple times on like Sunday afternoons. And so I had an inkling, and then I got Justin, our video friend, to come shoot a video with us. I set up a private Facebook event and invited, 25 of my closest friends to come eat dinner for free.
Wait, I wasn't invited on that list.
Sure you were.
Was I?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Check your
I was
Facebook.
so busy.
Hold on a second. Let me double check.
No, you're just going to pull it up.
So I had an active, audience, a captive audience rather, that knew in advance what was going to be going on. So Justin didn't have to go around shoving a camera in people's face and asking them what they think about it. And my staff was prepared. I had an extra guy there with me, helping me out. And then the first week we sold out in under an hour.
That's when we were in skiing, right?
That was the second week.
Okay.
And then the third week we doubled it and still sold out. So this fourth week slowed down a little bit. So we'll see kind of how it plays out. But it's a great dish. Chase, he runs our brunch menu and is in charge of this one as well. He makes a really nice beer batter, and you have a choice of either a half pound or a 3/4 pound, big slice of brisket, hand batter it, fry it up. Then he makes a white pepper gravy with a pound of burn-ins per gallon in there. And then hand mashed potatoes. It's just kind of...
Okay, all right. You're making us hungry over here, Cary. Stop it.
I think someone quoted the most Texas meal ever.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that actually came from the 80% experimental side, right? So if you're kind of stuck in keeping the same big menu all the time, you don't discover those things.
And that's what I do too. Like every month I try to roll out a new special. Mm-hmm. And then over the past 4 years or whatever that I've been doing this, now that I'm actually getting ready to relaunch my menu, I can go back and look at the sales from all of those. I can take the top 20%.
People really liked that.
Of those specials that I ran, and then just basically comprise a new menu out of the 5 years of experimentation that I've had. And again, just applying the 80-20 rule to that. I mean, with the garlic feta wings, that was really popular that we did.
Yeah, the feta fries came from
that as well. So
your cucumber limeade.
Yeah. So we had exactly. So many things come from that. So I guess the rule here is, or the takeaway here is don't be afraid to try new things, and obviously calculate and formulate like which ones are going to be the best performing out of those items, and then just go for it. Sometimes luck, not everything is at 80-20. Sometimes luck is is a factor as well, and you just never know what's going to stick, you know. But if you throw enough spaghetti at the wall, something's going to stick, right?
Yeah. I mean, your data is telling you a story. And if you're looking at that, it's actionable information. It's not just fluff. It's things you can use to grow your business.
There you go.
So put your strengths to work.
Well, that's really great information. I think you guys will learn a lot by applying the 80-20 rule. Even when you're starting up the restaurant, you know, just that can be applied, I think, just to a startup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spending 80% of your time analyzing things that maybe need not to analyze.
I mean, if you are focusing on your weaknesses too much, maybe you're bad at the books. Well, maybe that if you're banging your head against the wall, maybe you need to outsource that.
Exactly. And if you are just a passionate chef, like maybe you do need to spend 80% of your time in the kitchen, because that's going to produce all of your fruits.
Right.
And find you a maitre d' or, you know, a front of house manager.
Unfortunately, I spent a lot of time focusing on my weaknesses, trying to get that perfect, you know, trying to get everything really tight and streamlined, right?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any weaknesses, so.
Sure.
No, yeah, right. No, we all have weaknesses for sure. I think my biggest weakness as we do this podcast is probably being analytical. Like, I think as we talk, and I think you guys could probably hear it from us as well, I'm more of like the spontaneous one, and you can always hear from Cary, he's always more analytical than I am. So just, again, a takeaway from me from doing this podcast, hanging out with Cary all the time, is like, Kostas, you need to be more analytical and not just this like spontaneous like fireball of like energy that's just like happy and happy-go-lucky all the time.
It goes either way, you know. If you're kind of spread too thin by being all over the place, I might be creating a ceiling for myself by focusing on the details too much and not discovering as much.
So, yeah, I mean, there's really no right or wrong answer at the end of the day. It's just, you just have to have that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Have that balance. But, yeah, that's episode 13, and I made it off the mountain with Cary Hodson. Definitely check out that video again. The website is up, and it looks okay. There's still some kinks we got to work out on it. But, again, if you want to email either of us, Cary at realrestaurantradio.com, and my email is Kostas at realrestaurantradio.com.
Love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely, guys. Until the next episode, cheers.
Cheers.